Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here. I'm doing this recording on the 12th of June. It is a Thursday. And this coming weekend, we have rallies across the United States, and of course, called the No Kings rallies. And at the same time, there's going to be a military slash birthday parade for the president so he can see the tanks. Even though he doesn't respect the military and thinks they're suckers and losers, he wants to have a $50 million birthday party for himself. Um, the other thing that's going on, of course, is what's going on in California, in Los Angeles. Los Angeles really seems to be in the crosshairs, so to speak. It started the year with Los Angeles on fire with those terrible, destructive fires that occurred. And now there have been these terrible ice raids, and people are protesting them. And in the process of protesting them, they, of course, call out the riot police, who, in their own right are pretty awful. Uh, but they seem to have things in hand. But because Donald Trump can't leave well enough alone, he decided to send in National Guard, um, which is not really how it goes. It's supposed to be the governor of the state that does that. Um, and then after that, Hegseth and him decided to send in Marines, and there haven't been Marines or any kind of military um, military people uh, facing Americans since hmm, it did happen one other time. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just heard it, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So I thought that Gavin Newsom would be a good person to take a look at. Now, this is something especially for my members. I will be putting this out to the public, I think, because they're going to be interested in this as well. I haven't quite decided, but definitely for you guys. So I know that I've said that there are more things coming. Last time I did something on Stephen Miller, and I called it the basket of deplorables. Gavin Newsom isn't a deplorable. Actually, Gavin Newsom is kind of an adorable. So he'll be the first person in the basket of adorables. Now, I personally like Gavin Newsom, but completely, I don't completely trust Gavin Newsom. But I think if you completely trust politicians, you're probably not paying attention. Although there are a few politicians that I implicitly trust, but I can probably count them on one hand. All right, so let's take a look at Gavin. All right, let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to actually read from Wikipedia, which of course you could do as well, but I'll do it. I'll do it for you. Gavin was born 10/10/1967 in San Francisco. He's 57 years old at this time. His political party is the Democratic Party. He's been married twice, first to Kimberly Guilfoyle from 2001 and divorced in 2006. I don't know if he has children with her or not. I know he does have children with his second wife, Jennifer Seibel, who he married in 2008. It says he has 4 children. He went to Santa Clara University and got a Bachelor of Science in Political Science. After that, he founded a boutique winery, Plump Jack Group in Oakville, California, with a billionaire heir and family friend, Gordon Getty, as an investor. So he knows a lot of rich people, honestly. Okay. Says the company grew to manage 23 businesses, including wineries, restaurants, and hotels. Newsom began his political career in 1996 when San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown appointed him to the city's Park and Traffic Commission. Brown then appointed Newsom to fill a vacancy on the Board of Supervisors. And the next year, and Newsom was first elected to the board in 1998. He was elected mayor of San Francisco in 2003 and reelected in 2007. He was elected lieutenant governor of California in 2010 and reelected in 2014. As lieutenant governor, Newsom hosted the Gavin Newsom Show from 2012 to 2013 and wrote a book, Citizenville, which focused on using digital tools for democratic change. All right. He then was, let's see here. On April 21st, 2009, he announced his candidacy for governor in the 2010 election. Let's see, I believe okay, so 2009, he ran for governor. He named state senator and future U.S. Senator Alex Padilla to chair his campaign. He received former President Bill Clinton endorsement. Throughout the campaign, he had low poll numbers, trailing Democratic runner Jerry Brown by more than 20 points in most polls. Newsom dropped out of the race in October and ran for lieutenant governor instead. He ran for governor in 2018. Let's see. It says on June 5th, 2018, he finished in the top two in a nonpartisan blanket primary, and he defeated Republican John Cox by a landslide in November. He did have a recall election, which he won, and then he was elected for a second term in 2022. I believe the governor terms are 6 years long, if I'm not mistaken. And he is right now the governor of California, but he won't be able to run again because I think they have a 2-term limit in California, or maybe it's a 2-term consecutive limit. So he is one of the primary people that people are talking about him running for president in 2028. And this thing that's happening in LA is giving him a lot of street cred, really. I think he's been, there are some things about him that I have an issue with, but he is the governor of the 4th biggest economy in the world. So I'm sure he has a lot of considerations that I know nothing about. All right, so that's Gavin. That's just in a nutshell where he's at. All right, let's take a look at his numbers. So his full name is Gavin Christopher Newsom. As I said, he was born 10/10/1967. Your name that you are given at birth is really the vibration that best describes who you are coming in, even before the life experience that you're coming into. And so your soul vibration is your inner self. It is what your soul has been working on for lifetimes. It is what you need to stay in good relationship with in order to be in good relationship with yourself. So when we add all his vowels up, we get 2 vibrations. We get an 11, which comes from his name Newsom, the vowels in his name Newsom. So whenever we get a master number, we pull it over to the side. And then when we add everything together, we get a 41/5 vibration. 5 is a vibration of change. And so this is somebody who actually thrives on change. The 41/5 is an emotional energy. It's actually a Scorpio energy. He does have Scorpio in his chart. I believe his Mercury is in Scorpio. We're going to look at his chart. So I'm just going off the top of my remembering head, which is seems to be getting smaller and smaller as I get older, but okay. So we have the Ace of Cups, and the 11 is the Justice card. When you see an 11 in somebody's name, it generally means they're a more advanced soul. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do good things. It just means if they do bad things, they pay a lot harder, right? Okay. So we have somebody who has a sense of justice, understands that there are consequences to your actions, and perhaps even and of course consequences to your non-actions, and a pretty sensitive soul, perhaps somebody who believes that believes that believes in the goodness of life and the goodness of God, really. Now, his outer personality are his consonants. And when we add his consonants together, we get a 78 6. Base number 6 is a number of responsibility. So people who have sixes in their major numbers are generally very service oriented, community oriented. And I do believe that that is true of him. Now, the 78-6 is actually the 10 of Pentacles. The 10 of Pentacles is generally associated with old money. And while he may not come from old money, he knows how to relate to people who have money. And I think that's been part of his success, both as a business person and as a politician. If we add these two vibrations together, we get the expression vibration. So we're adding the 41 and the 78. When we do that, we get 119. When you see this, you add the 11 to the 9, we get a 20, 20 over 2. That is the Judgment card in the tarot right here. So the Judgment card is, and your expression is how you balance your inner and outer self, right? This is the card associated with waking up, the awakened soul. So we do have somebody who is relatively, in my estimation anyway, from watching him and hearing him and examining his numbers and looking at his chart, we do have a more advanced soul here, which is good news, which is good news. Okay. The Judgment card is somebody, it's a 2, so there's great sensitivity. He needs to be sensitive to other people. He needs to be sensitive to other people with this vibration, but it's also a vibration of understanding that this world is not the only world, and that we're connected to a higher connections, right? Higher planes. All right. So that is the vibration that comes in with his name. Now, if we look at his day of birth, October 10th, 1967, we add those numbers together, we get something called his path of life, also known as his life lesson. And with lessons, as with all lessons, the longer that you work the lesson, the better you get at it. If you don't learn your lesson, usually spirit will take you out because you're not learning what you came to learn here. So his lesson is a 43-7. In the tarot, it's the 3 of Cups. Now, the 3 of Cups, this is actually a friendship vibration. And so part of his lesson in this lifetime is learning how to be a friend, learning how to be a friend. This 43-7 is actually a Cancer vibration, the sign of Cancer. And 7 is the vibration of know thyself. The 43-7 is know thyself through your feelings, So now he already has a lot big feelings here with this Ace of Cups, but he also, part of his lesson is learning how to be a friend, be part of perhaps a group here. Okay, there's a group sentiment here. And although this is a very joyous card, the 43-7, as with all the threes in the tarot, sit in a place on the tree of life called Baina. Baina is associated with the dark night of the soul. And so while we see this happen, this is his vibration, pictorially, if we go by the tarot card, it's not without its challenges. And then we have his shadow, and the shadow is the vibration that you came in to heal. And we get that vibration by adding his first name, Gavin, to his day of birth, 10, which is 10, his day, the 10th of October, right? So we get Gavin vibrates to a 26-8. That's the page of wands, the messenger, by the way. And we add the 10 to that, and we get a 36-9. The 36-9 is the 10 of wands. Your shadow is what you've come in to heal. The 10 of wands, it's a 9. And so part of his lesson, or what he needs to heal, is he needs he needs forgiveness. This can be oppression, and he can feel oppressed at times. He can feel like he has, like, I mean, look at all these wands that he's carrying. So this is known as the burden bearer. This can work out as somebody who allows themselves to be burdened by their responsibilities. But ultimately, your shadow becomes the gift that you give if you can heal it. So in his healing journey, and the thing about the healing journey for folks is that it's a very personal vibration. And so unless you live your life completely like out loud, like somebody like Donald Trump does, you don't always understand, you can't always get to the depth um of the shadow just by the number and the tarot association. But we'll take a look at the chart, because this is the 36-9 is a Sagittarius energy, and we'll see what he has, if anything, in Sagittarius. I frankly can't remember. All right, so let's continue. And then here we have his divine triangle. His first 27 years of life, we have a 33-6. That's a master number. There's that 6 again. So this is about service responsibility. It's connected with the 7 of Wands in the tarot, and the Sephiroth Netzach in the Tree of Life. Netzach is the Sephiroth of Venus. So Venus issues. Venus issues. The 33-6 can sometimes sacrifice themselves unduly, and so he may have had that tendency. There's also some issues with relationships, because it is Venus. And he's been married twice, which is not that unusual, but I'm sure it hasn't been easy. Now, his power square, which he actually finished in 2021 when he turned 54. Then he moved on to his wisdom square, which he is now. He's actually on this line of his wisdom square, the 8 vibration. As you sow, so shall you reap. This is a powerful vibration. This is power here. 8 is a vibration of power and manifestation. But his power is also a 36-9, just like his shadow. And so part of his power is his ability to overcome his shadow and become the healer and the teacher that he's meant to be. And I think he's probably done that. Well, the shadow's always there, and it's always sort of in the background, like niggling at you. But I think for the most part, I think he's probably resolved some of this. And he is now up here in his pinnacle. He's in a 33-6. I believe that began when he was 47. I can't be positive about it. I have it in my notes, but he's in that vibration now. It's a 33 vibration. So as it stands, he has an 11 in his soul, and he has a 33 pinnacle. So he does have a number of master numbers. In 2024, on his birthday, 10/10, that was his last birthday was in 2024. He moved into a 1 vibration, the 28-1. That's the 2 of Wands. And on his birthday at the end of this year, he's going to move into a 29-11. That's a decision. But he was in that 1 vibration, and this is when the LA fires happened. And he was in a 1 vibration with 11 subperiod. Now he has an 11 soul. So he was really sort of his ability to keep balance through that is a testament. And I'm sure people have opinions about that. I don't live in California. I know that there's issues, but as a leader, I think he probably held the balance as best as he could. And I'm sure it's very difficult for him to see people lose their homes and be in the situation they were in. Now, that was the first 4 months of his year, his 28 1 year. In February 10th, he moved into the second part of that, and he moved into a 15-6 vibration. And this was the period when there were the ICE raids, and then the protests, and then the militarization of LA, which happened towards the end, right? It just happened. And it's still going on when we move into his third area of the Tree of Life. Now, this here from 210 to 610. Now, remember, we have the fires, and now we have um, the militarization of LA. And I know that he hasn't had an easy go of it with Trump, although he did try to make nice with some of the right wing people. I know people got real upset about that. But in that period of time, he was in a 15-6 sub period, which is the devil card. And so the devil is the vibration that keeps you from your light, or it doesn't. It is a 6, so it is about responsibility. So he feels a deep sense of responsibility through this period. And now he's in a 14-5 vibration. And literally the 14-5, as we sit here today, because today is the 12th, so he's been in this sub vibration for 2 days, is the Temperance card. So he's going to have to walk the straight and narrow. It is considered a trial by fire vibration. So we'll see how he does with that. So far, I think he's done pretty good considering the kinds of pressure that he's under. Okay. All right, let's see. And he is here now. He's on this line. I should have highlighted it, but I didn't. This is the 8 vibration. That is the Strength card. It is associated with the sign of Leo. And I think he might even have Leo in his chart. Okay, let's take a look. I think his chart is next. Okay, here we go. Does he have Leo? Yes, of course he does. He has Jupiter and Leo. I knew he had Leo. Okay, so this is Gavin's astrological chart. He has a Virgo rising, and he has Pluto right on the ascendant, along with Uranus. Gavin, born in the 60s, is part of the generation that has the Pluto-Uranus conjunction in their chart. What I've seen with these Pluto-Uranus conjunctions is that there's two types of these Pluto-Uranus conjunction folks. People who have Uranus moving away from Pluto, which is what Gavin has, and people who have Uranus getting closer to Pluto. As Uranus moves towards Pluto, it's about the ending of a cycle. And then as Uranus moves away from Pluto, it's about initiating a new cycle. And what's being initiated is the energy of the conjunction of Uranus and Neptune. Uranus and Pluto that happened in the mid 60s that changed the whole culture, right? From the beginning of the 60s to the end of the 60s, you might as well have been on a different planet. There was such an intense transformational process. We're going through those different, not the same transformational process as we did back then, but people born in the 60s have this in their chart, and they're well equipped to deal with the changes that are happening. And so I was born in the 60s as well. I like to think I'm on the team for that. The fact that he has Uranus and Pluto in the first house. First house is who you are. It's the I am house. Makes him a transformer. He is a transformational energy. He also has a very tight opposition to Chiron in Pisces of his Uranus. This is not unusual. In the 60s, Chiron was opposite Uranus and opposite Pluto for, I believe, all of the 60s. But this Chiron in Pisces in the house of relationship This can be somebody who is wounded through relationship because he tries to save people. I have Chiron and Pisces in that house, and I've been guilty myself. You notice that he has Saturn at 9 degrees of Aries. He, I don't know, he might have Eris close to this. He probably has Eris at like 11 or 12. Anyway, he has Saturn in Aries. Saturn is in Aries right now. It just moved in. It's going to move back into Pisces and then go back into Aries and then continue through Aries come 2026, which means that he's in the midst of his second Saturn return, 2026, 2027. And that's significant, of course. He has Mars down here in Sagittarius. You know, I think I said, does he have Sagittarius? Yes. Not only is it people with Mars in Sag generally are not afraid of doing big things. And it's in his fourth house. So he wants to do big things where he lives, right? He has a moon in Capricorn, so he's practical and pragmatic. He has his sun in Libra, so he's somewhat of a diplomat. He does like to see both sides of things. He does have a square, and it's a very tight square, actually, between his sun and his moon. This is a crisis in action. This is the type of person when your lunation cycle is a first quarter square cycle, and so tight. I mean, it's what is it? A minute? It's a minute over the line here. This is somebody who has a lot of energy and really wants to build things, and we can see that through his history that he has done that with his winery and all the businesses and the restaurants and all of that, right? So he's got a lot of connections. He's a real networker, this guy, real networker. He does have some Scorpio. He has Mercury in Scorpio. This is somebody who wants to get to the bottom line, especially around issues of money, second house. And he has Neptune in Scorpio, as do everybody born in the 60s. He does have Jupiter here in Leo. This is, this is the symbol of a king, perhaps. But he has a conjunct Venus in Virgo. Venus in Virgo's greatest desire is to be of service, right? And so while he is a leader, he has leadership qualities. There's that constant sort of energy of being of service, being of service, being of service. His North Node is in the sign of Aries, and so he's come in, even though he's a Libra, he's come in to learn how to be a leader. And he does that by being exposed to forces greater than himself, like wildfires and the like. And I don't know, the military, police, who the hell knows? Okay. So he has a very interesting chart, and he does have the chart of somebody who really has the potential to be very successful. Now, I do want to so here is the chart, and here is his tree of life. And what I've done is I've put the signs where he has uh, where the planets are, right? This is the Earth, this is the Moon, this is the Sun, and I just, go over and put them here. And I've also put in his vibrations. Here's his soul vibration up here in Kether. His soul sits in his crown chakra. And this is somebody who, in order to be in a good relationship with himself, he needs to stay connected to spirit and to source. He strikes me as somebody who does that. His path of life is up here in Bina. This is Bina is associated with Saturn. That's why Bina is not an easy vibration. Bina, where he has his path of life, where he's learning about himself on an emotional level, is the place of the dark night of the soul. And so he's had to walk many a dark night of the soul. And with Aries there, he has his Saturn in Aries, of course, but he also has his North Node in Aries. His North Node is ruled by that Mars in Sag. Okay, so, and it is, it's not quite trine, but at least it's in the same element. Okay. Let's see, his soul vibration is, he also has that 11 soul that sits here on the tree of life. His expression is down here, the 20/2, the judgment card. This is the path of Pluto. This path is a Pluto path, and there is Pluto right at the front and center right there. Okay. And here's his quiescent. The 78.6 is associated with Malkuth. The Malkuth is the Earth, and the Earth is always opposite the Sun. So his Earth sits right about here. He has his Earth in the house of relationship, and there's him having relationships. And because it's Aries, there's this energy of entrepreneurial. He has a real entrepreneurial energy. Of course, people with cardinal signs in their chart, and he has Libra as a cardinal. He's got his moon in a cardinal sign. He's got Earth in a cardinal sign. His Saturn is in a cardinal sign, are all indications of somebody who's going to sort of make his own way and have that sort of, and even as he governs or does things, he's going to be interested in in utilizing people's talents to the best of their abilities so that they can creatively express themselves and make a living for themselves, right? It's kind of a what is that called? It's called opportunity economy, an opportunity economy. He'd be good with that, right? That's what Kamala talked about, the opportunity economy. Now, what we have here is we have the chart of, in the center, we have the chart of the state of California. The state of California was born September 9th, 1850 at 9:32 a.m. in San Jose, California. I got that from astro.com. And this is California's chart. And take a look at this. They have Pluto and Uranus in a conjunction at the last degree of Aries. This is why it is such a, and Saturn is there as well, within orb, a 10-degree orb of a conjunction. This is all the Earth stuff that happens in California, earthquakes, wildfires. You know, this is just it's a wild frontier kind of place. We also have a lot of things in the 12th house here, the sun, the moon, and Venus. This is there's a lot of hidden stuff going on in California as well. Um, but I put Gavin's chart around it to show you, you know, in a way why he's so successful. So first of all, his North Node is on the Pluto-Uranus of California. Remember, he has a Pluto-Uranus conjunction in his chart. You'll see stuff like that. You'll see things repeat themselves. He does have Venus opposite California's Neptune. This is very dreamy, right? Dreaming the dream, creating the dream. Let's see, what else, what else, what else? He also has the South Node, his South Node on Venus and Venus and the Moon in Scorpio. California really, he really is a Californian. I mean, if you were going to say, here's a Californian, you'd put his picture up, right? Here's his Mercury. Let's see, is that doing anything to California's chart? It actually squares California's nodes. And the resolution for that is to go in the direction of leadership. So that's what he's doing. All right. So that's really interesting. So he's really well adapted to the governorship of California, or being from California and having power in California. And I thought I had one more chart here. I guess I don't, but I do want to share something else with you. All right, let me see if I can pull that up. Just give me a moment. Okay, so I thought I had put this up, but I hadn't. So let me share it from a different perspective here. All right. So obviously there's something about Gavin Newsom that gets under Donald Trump's skin. Um, and there is a connection there, which makes me, I think that's part of the whole, where I step back a little bit with Gavin. Although again, I think he's well suited for leadership, and I think that he may just be the type of leader that can sort of um, have one foot in the old way and one foot in the new way. Very, very Libra in that respect. So what we have here is we have Gavin Newsom's chart here, and we have Donald Trump's chart on the outside. Now I'm going to swap this because I feel like Gavin probably annoys Trump way more than Trump annoys Gavin, because I think Gavin understands rich people and and stuff like that. Okay, so here's Trump's chart. And what we see here is Gavin Newsom's Jupiter sits on Trump's Mars. Now, Jupiter expands everything it touches, and so he could be stimulating his anger. He does have his Mars in the 12th house, the house of his undoing. Trump does, and so this could instigate his undoing in that respect. Gavin has his sun on Trump's Chiron Jupiter conjunction. In fact, it is pretty much right on the midpoint of that. Now, Jupiter is the luckiest planet in Trump's chart. It's the reason why he's not in jail. But he also has Chiron there, and we can see the woundedness and how he relates. He relates to people, he makes them feel important, and then he throws them under the bus, which is the thing that most narcissists do. What have you done for me lately, kind of stuff. But Gavin's sun is right there. So I think he has an understanding of both the magic of Trump, if I might say so, without you guys throwing up in your mouth, and the wounding. And the real issue here, the real problem. He has his Mercury trine Trump's Mercury, so I think he tries to communicate with Trump. His Neptune is square Trump's Mars. But this is probably the thing that bugs Trump the most. His moon sits right on Trump's south node and Trump's moon. And this just generally indicates they've known each other before, previous lifetimes. He might feel a certain sense, Trump, that is a certain sense of like this is his son kind of energy with his progeny, even though they're not related. You know what I mean? But it irritates Trump, his moon. It irritates Trump. So he has a way of irritating Trump. Let's see, what else is there? Anything else here that is and he does have Saturn opposite Trump's Neptune and square Trump's Mercury. So he called him the other day a stone cold liar. Now, everybody knows that Trump is a liar, but not everybody says it, is to his face or to a microphone, right? He's willing to stand up to that. And that's where we see that. Okay, so there's that. And then I wanted to just quickly, oh, and I guess we should swap it. Let's go back and put Gavin in the center here and Trump on the outside. Notice that Trump's north node and his Uranus are right on the top of Gavin's chart. So in a way, and his sun, his shenanigans bring Gavin to people's awareness. The 10th house is the most evident house, right? And Gavin doesn't have anything up there and natally, but Trump seems to bring out makes him more famous, and Mars stimulates his Jupiter so could stimulate his sense of wanting to be a leader or, or the like there. There's Jupiter on his sun. So in a way, it's strange that Trump does help Gavin be seen in a way that perhaps he wouldn't be seen if Trump wasn't the person that was giving him all this crap. All right. So, and then I wanted to just take a look at Gavin and the United States chart to see if we had any connections. And there are quite a few. First of all, the Neptune of the United States, he has Pluto and Uranus on the Neptune of the United States in that 9th house. He has his sun conjunct Saturn. That's the rule of law in the 10th house. This is the Sibley chart, by the way, the Sag rising chart for the U.S. Saturn in the 10th house is president, and there's his son. So he definitely could do that. Let's see. And there was one, oh yes, his Mars is actually opposite the US Mars. Okay. So there's an opposition there. And it creates a mutable T-square between, a mutable square, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, all transpersonal planets, right? All moving us forward evolutionarily. Square the Mars of the United States opposite the Mars of Newsom, and then Chiron here in the third house as the last leg of that four-legged table. So there is definitely stimulation and adaptability. I think he would adapt well to the presidency, and I think he'd probably be a good president. But what I want to say, I'm going to just finish this up with just something I noticed that I've wanted to say something, but I think this is the venue, I guess, because this is my first opportunity to talk to anybody about it. The other day, with all this stuff happening in LA, I clicked on a CNN thing, and they were running around saying, Gavin Newsom, everybody's Googling Gavin Newsom. But of course they're going to. Everybody Googles everybody that Trump touches, right? But like suddenly he's becoming like in people's consciousness. It was like he's got 10% and AOC's got 9%. And it was like a horse race. And, of course, they're talking about the presidential election like 3 years from now. In the meantime, we're in a huge problem here. Not to mention California is in, and it's like they keep looking to the horse race, but they're not looking at what's going on. And it just pissed me off. It just made me mad. And it's like, I think Gavin has enough to think about in the situation that he's in, just like I think AOC has enough to think about in her situation, and Jasmine Crockett has things to think about. They're doing their job. They're doing their job where their jobs are. Are they thinking about the future? Maybe the party is, but I just think it just pissed me off, and I just wanted to say it to somebody. So thanks for listening. So as far as I can tell, um, this is going to be challenging, of course, for Gavin. This is a challenging time. Um, and he has the type of chart that he can overcome the challenges and actually continue to be successful in the things that he chooses to do. Um, so in that respect, you know, I think I think there's potential there. And hopefully things will calm down, although I'm not so sure about that. There's a lot of things happening this weekend, including the last Jupiter Saturn square on Sunday, and which is a crisis square, and a square between Uranus and um, Mars. And Mars is in Leo and right on Gavin's Jupiter, and Uranus is squaring his Jupiter. And oftentimes, the leader of a state or a country, their chart is indicative of what the state or the country is going to be going through. So, but it's been wild. And like I said, California is a wild place, and he was born and bred there, so he is, I think, well equipped for California. Is he well equipped for the US? Who knows? If we have a lot ahead of us, right in front of us right now, that we have to deal with before we think about 2028. So let's take a cue from that. Deal with what you have in front of you. Stay safe. Focus on that life and that vision of a future. We have to have a vision. We have to have a story. And if we do, then people will have something to believe in. And I think the best thing to do is just believe in yourself and that you're here for a reason and that you will contribute and that um, the world will be a better place because you've lived in it. And I think the world is a better place because Gavin has lived in it, honestly. Um, I still have some issues with him. But I'm not the governor of California and I'm not up against what he's up against. So I can have my opinions, but it's better I apply myself to my own life. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Um, and there's more to come for the members. All right, take care, everyone. Much love. Namaste.